we don't have a profit imperative. Nairobi County is not trying to make profit. We're trying to serve the citizens. And so for you guys, apart from just the specific sector, and I wish Clemo was here, he's also in Mombasa and Nyandita, Susan will be able to tell you, this is who you plug into. We'll have this often meetings. And the good thing with doing a quarterly meeting is you track progress. The last time we came, we raised this, what has been done. I've seen it with matatus, I've seen it with market people, I've seen it in many sectors where we've done it, it's working. So every other meeting now becomes a review meeting before new issues. You know, it don't cost us much. Now, my brother from Homeboys, who celebrate Wasani, I always wanted to see a Kalamashaka road, you know, or Hardstone. There's a petition from South Sea guys for ISA, and Nameless was really pushing it. We've aligned our street naming process in terms of how the community can ask, so that you don't suddenly wake up tomorrow and see Sakaja road everywhere. You know, me, I don't want the road named after me. But there are people who, not just in the creative sector, in the life of Nairobi, you know, like John Gaku, the mayor, Magic Mike, the guys who have done things contributed to this city that need to be recognized. And so for this space, we'll democratize it. And ask you guys, is there someone you recommend who we need to honor? There's a National Heroes and Honors Council that does it for the national level, but for Nairobi, we'll bring it down to us. Who are our heroes? Watoka ole wanatambua nani? Kuna madhe maybe alikuwa anasaidia watu huko for years, and everyone has gone through our hands. He needs to be recognized. It's not just Sati Francis at Uli Road, Reda Odinga way, Kenyatta. No, our local heroes. And so from the creative economy, you see the problem with the creative economy, which is just how we are as creatives, hatupendi kupangwa. So because of that, you see Akina Big Ted have started something, zimekuwa ni auto artist. You start yours, kwa nini nyinyi? Nini starts his. I wish one day we get into one creative economy thing for content creators. Because if you're not organized, you don't be recognized. You have no space on the table. And I keep saying, if you're on the table, you're on the menu. So if you want to be on the menu, you're on the menu, but I would want us, if you'd allow us to structure something, would you guys accept to fit into it? Mtakubali?
Tutaisoma kwanza.
So that equals one. Close to our close. We should collaborate.
Yes.
You know. But the problem with democracy is that you hardly always agree. So also you have a chance for leadership. So give it 60% leadership, 40%. If you don't agree, we will tell you how. And if someone wants to engage, plug into it. We've done that with Mathiris. Mathiris was the worst guys. Moina wako hapa, Roji wako hapa, another to them, listen. This is how we're organizing you. On your corridors, on your routes. If you want to engage with us, use this platform. It's working perfect. So we'll be able to do that, my brother and Luta. We decorate our cities. There's something we're doing. And actually, I'd like you just to plug into. Many places you're saying are not Instagrammable. And they don't have iconic signs, you know, like a Nairobi sign here. The thing we've had for a long time is KCC, you know, where you come and you hold your hand and you've covered it. And the current creatives are finding spaces around Posta, the old buildings. And so I was able to get 250 million shillings for downtown CBD to make the pathways wider, to create walking spaces. And so I'll ask Justin to connect you guys with the technical team. So ITVP and Engineer Tirop. And so how do we get you? See, that's one of the questions. So we think put it out so that you can come and say, okay, you guys know if this street was designed this way, we get better photos. and the sun rises from this side, and you guys know all those things that I keep learning every day. Stand facing this place, we need something this height because of people's general height, etc. So we'll get a representative from you people who understands videography and film. How many of you guys are in the photography space? Yeah. Mtanipea mtu mmoja. Si cheo, hakuna mshahara. It's just to coordinate. So to connect them with Siro and the engineer Kitonga. Because we are using this money now. In a short while. So please plug into it now. So that you can say now, Lutuli looks like this and it's helping us do this. Another part of town, Woodville Grove, I've said let's make it one way. But this would be electric avenue. Make it one way, create bigger space. From Friday to Nafunga Barabara, guys set up the umbrellas, restaurants have your fresco lunches and whatnot. And more such spaces. Cities are about walkability. That you can walk, enjoy yourself, and there are those dustbins, there is whatever you require. So that we'll make sure we do. Segera, creative spaces. Now let me explain, and I think this answers 2 or 3 people's questions. Today, if Jay-Z was to come to Kenya, ata perform what? Kasarani. The acoustics, or Beyonce. So we have a program, a project that we're doing. What is currently Green Park terminal in town? So no Green Park. I said it on Citizen. I don't know if anyone watched on JKL. And I think I'll start a podcast soon. So that you guys can be watching. I'll start a podcast. Who can help me do that? I need this idea. Apple? You can set me up something here so I can be. Okay. So we've said this is the highest real estate in Nairobi, the most expensive, 13B. It's beautiful. It's right next to town, the iconic buildings. Uhuru Park is on one side, next to it is a golf course. It was made into a bus stop. So I've changed that. And now we're getting investors coming in PPP. Last evening, you remember, the Chinese ambassador was saying, if you had a restaurant, a food court, where people can get food from every country, 50 countries or so, food throughout, for that cuisine. So I have the designs. We're doing hotel towers, but a convention center. That you can have a proper sound auditorium, theater, 10,000 capacity meeting, 20,000 performance venues that are affordable, accessible. So imagine someone comes from Maju, Unamko Airport. I've given them now an exit from the expressway there. Exit Kungia Tao. To say you have to go to museum or come on at Capital Center. So we're doing an exit of the expressway there, but you get into that Nairobi Convention Center and you create that space. On top of that, because we can create all the spaces, we want to incentivize the private sector. If you're doing a huge development, if you provide for the creative economy, if you provide for playgrounds, we incentivize you, we charge you less, we tax you less. I think that can help. More people can do that more than just what we are doing. Now, kule mtaani, what we've agreed with the MCAs, because the MCAs runs past the budget, is to make sure that in every sub-county, 5 wards come together, there must be a place where there's a studio, there's like a small place people can perform, it's accessible, you don't charge commercial rates, and you're able to do it. That one we've put even in our budgets for us to be able to do. Many guys have talent, but always afford. When there's Calif Records, when they, all these big guys, you can't afford it, but the talent is there. So even in the informal settlements, we want to put those now creative spaces for production. Not everybody will buy a mixer, not everybody has a guitar, not everybody has instruments. That's something we're doing. And I think once we structure this engagement and these teams, then we know how you guys plug in. Because then you know, you don't need all this equipment for this level of production. Now we'll have more contests and competitions, so our talent comes up. When we see talent that is bankable, we will support them. And we'll pay for an album, pay for a video shoot, pay for, because also that investment is needed. Currently, corporates have not been able to come into the creative space because they have not been incentivized, and that's at the national level. So we will do our part when it comes to that. You have anything on that?
I'll start with that one for the funding bit in terms of identifying talent and then supporting it. So recently at Cabinet we passed the festival fund that will allow us to have some flexibility in terms of how we use our money for artists. So the engagement has always been, we would like to support you. As county, we try to see how we can give you the best environment to, if you're doing a gig, how best do we support you, but we couldn't support you financially because there was no legal framework for it. So ideally what we did is we would give you an ambulance, or we would give you a fire truck, which is a requirement that you should have. If there's advertisement that you would do, that you require to pay some sort of fees to the county, we waiver that for you to reduce your costs. But now moving forward, there's now a structure that we can be able to actually give some sort of sponsorship, or we can jointly go into some sort of venture that would make money for both of us. So now we have a structure for that moving forward. So in fact now when we do those competitions, then we have a fund that we can actually support the artists with the money to do what they need to do. Do I go into the other details that I wanted?
Of the things I've covered, so we don't, because...
Yes, all the things you've covered. Yes. So in terms of customer service and how you can get in touch with us. So both touched on a few things, but I just want to emphasize. So we're going to set up, we are setting up a hotline, which will have different ways you can access different things in the county. So instead of looking for somebody or getting so many different numbers to call the county, we will have just one, and then whatever your request is, it will be directed to the right person. So we're even setting up a call center for people who will actually man that and make sure that you get in touch with whoever you need to.
And they have to get back to you. If they don't, I will know.
Yes.
Yeah. So that escalation, IT is helping us. Mm-hmm. If something is there, it's still red, no one has responded to, I know who must answer to it.
Yeah.
Because that is a big problem.
Yes, so in addition to the call center, also the system that will allow us to track. We will also have that My Nairobi app, which you mentioned briefly. So we worked to develop something that you can have access also now on an app, be it payments, be it queries about specific parts of our sectors of our county. So whether you want to pay your land rates, you want to this specific business, all that information will be on the app. We are working with Safaricom to make sure that is done. But also it has that component of talk to Sakaja. So we've put it as a general thing for now, while we see what kind of queries or comments or suggestions that we get, and then we will keep modifying it as we go along. So we will know that, okay, these are proposals for partnerships with counties. The more we see which kind of proposals we're getting, then we'll segment them by sector. So maybe this is a health proposal, maybe this is a finance proposal, maybe this is a sports proposal. So we'll continue to modify it as we go along. But for now, it is a general one, and you can download the app. Actually, it's on your Apple Store. Even an Apple, I think so. Yeah, but also on Android. Yeah. So just search and tell me if it's there. Yes. And then in addition to that, I know this is still a little bit. You can use emails. So we have someone manning our info at nairobi.go.ke. So when info@nairobi.go.ke. So if you still feel like you still want to get in touch with us through email, that's also another platform that you can use. So that's about customer service. And I'd like to just add on to the question that you asked there's a question that you asked about artists, how they can apply to be at the festival. So in the last festival, we had a link for people to apply to participate as a vendor or as an artist. But moving forward, those sorts of advertisements will also be one on the website, but also on the app that we have. So you can be able to find that there.
And apply early.
Yeah. I can touch on the engagements, the quarterly engagements. I know the sector had planned to be doing some quarterly stakeholder engagement with artists. So that's podcasters, content creators, photographers, musicians, producers, painters, all those people. So they will be doing, so they should be doing some stakeholder engagements moving forward, and you will be notified of those. We were also working on this Instagrammable sites. So the first step that the sector took was we identified each of the historic sites that are in Nairobi. So first beginning with CBD. So there was a plan on how to spruce them up, tag them properly so that you can actually see them, and then create a mini thing that you can actually take nice pictures with. So that was ongoing, and I know the sector has budgeted to do that in this financial year. So those are the historical sites, and then in addition to that, if you have like a Nairobi sign or a Hollywood sign, you know how there's a Hollywood sign, so we would come up with more of those, and you can use the different channels of engagement that we've given to give some more suggestions of what else can be an Instagrammable site that we could do in the city. I think that's all.
So mine will be very brief, especially to Sakaja's question. I think it's more of a challenge. I know Waziri has spoken about JVs on how we can create sustainable spaces, but we'd also like to hear from you. The idea of having free spaces is good, but how do we maintain these spaces? If we're not charging, what does it mean then regarding just upholding the standard of the species? It would be good to just hear as you pose questions. I think only Nyawira is the one who tried to say this is a solution towards this. So we'd really appreciate that. Do you want to respond?
So what I was thinking is that when you like bring in these people who have potential into these kind of spaces, they also have to like have goals. If they're gonna come in, they have to like have goals. If you're gonna agree that they're gonna like post 2 videos let's say like 3 videos in a month. Let's say if it's a podcast, they have to like adhere to these goals. And if you guys feel, the guys that will be possibly monitoring this, see that this guy is like not doing so much, they'll have to like let him lose or give him, I don't know, something like that. Cause what do you think?
kuna watu wengine aishiki for a while lakini ikishika imeshika.
But maybe I'm talking about the consistency part. Like you have to show these people that you are really determined to become who you say you want to be. Yeah, like you have to put in the work if you're going to be allowed into these spaces. Yeah, so it's all about goals and achieving these goals. Yeah. Have I answered you?
Are we creating more hurdles or yeah?
So maybe just as a suggestion, it could be a membership fee. We do it at clubs every time. We do it at gyms. Is that I want to create content for 3 months, because many of these content creators, we work in seasons. So if we're doing 10 episodes, is to say I will pay X amount of money. That includes camera, sound, and I think it just becomes a bit cheaper. But the truth is that there's a space at what's this mall called? Garden City, called the Selfie Village, and everybody's going there to create content. Is that you have to pay to enter. It's great for everybody, but you have to pay either way. So I think to answer sustainability is that we're willing to pay. It won't be premium, but it would allow for smaller content creators. So it's just a membership fee.
There's just need to know how to distinguish. So that what you're paying tomorrow, multi-choice doesn't come there and pay the same.
Exactly.
On Netflix. So I need to be able to distinguish, because they'll come under the name of someone, but then you see how they've set up that place, and they paid 3,000 bob. You guys will help us with that.
I think maybe a solution to that is having a platform where people can register as creatives. You're part of, and whatever we're going to call it, a collective. We've been doing the creator collective chats with Terembe, but just to register, it doesn't matter what kind of creative you are, but because you're registered, then that gives you access to some of these, so that people won't, people won't kind of take advantage of these solutions, because at the end of the day, the aim is access.
Okay.
It's not people want free stuff,
Yeah.
but you don't have to spend money on a camera and a background. Like, it's just access. So subsidizing so that we can maintain them as well.
Yeah, that was a good intervention. Okay. So, I've seen my brother there. You wanted to say something? Okay, let's hear you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Governor. I think I already like what you said about incentives, where you give incentives to the people who are trying to construct maybe spaces and stuff. But I also think if the government is intentional about content creation, maybe we can also have like lower taxes when importing cameras and stuff. Because I know the president mentioned about developing mobile phones for 5,000, but how will that be good for content creation? So I think maybe we can look at the taxes as well as the incentives.
Okay.
Because like importing a camera right now is quite, it's not cheap, yeah.
That's true. And I mean, just to answer that quickly, you know, those taxes are levied by the national government. It's for us now to make a good case for it. And that's what I was saying. Even the digital access tax, when a sector is, you're trying to build it now, you don't tax it. You first incentivize it, it grows. Then when you tax it in 3 years, you'll make more money. Then you tax it down, and what you get now is what you'll get for the next 10 years. You know, that's my approach. Because, you know, create a bigger cake so more people get in. So by the time now we're taxing you in 3-4 years, when we've helped you in many things, you can bring your equipment, people know where to go to, etc. It's a bigger cake from which we're taxing the same amount, you know. So we'll lobby. We'll lobby our legislators. Okay, let me go quickly. Trudy, about guys being arrested, and I said they shouldn't be arrested, and some are still being arrested. That was the first issue. It's continuous for us, you know. So the county government, you see now what we must understand, we have the county government and the national government. The police are not under us. The council enforcement officers are under us. But I work closely with the police. So I keep talking to the OCPD of Central Police, please, stop this. And of course, if I need to make a bigger case with her boss or with the regional commander or with Minister Kindiki, I will do it to explain to them, because I know the president, you have goodwill of the president. But the officers who've known, here I'll get 5K, here I'll get 2K, here I'll get 3K. But then you guys have the tools. Expose these people. Record them. Get their service numbers. They're changing the uniform now, it'll have even the name. And we make examples of 2 or 3 of them, they'll stop it. You guys have the tools more than anybody else. So we have said it as county government. So long as people also don't abuse it. You know, we can't have certain things also being filmed in the streets. Indecency. Yeah, umeamua sasa hii ngoma sasa watu wakuje ndethe sijui wavae nini. You know, those ones we will not accept. For public decency. Yeah? And those ones you'll be arrested. Because there are laws that don't allow for it. But if you're doing something within the law, on any day of the week, not just Sunday or Monday, you should be protected, you should be allowed. So with this system where you can get through to us, we'll be able to know. And sometimes also it'll help us that I want to do this on Rangala Street or on Moy Avenue on this day. And Nyalita or the sector will know, Akina Shafi will say, okay. He will tell someone personally from inspectorate, please, hii barabara leo kuna hii inaendelea, kaini rada now. When the cops come, my officers will protect you from those cops. So just let us know. It doesn't cost much. Let us know. Advertise with content creators. I didn't know you guys are open. And I'm glad to hear. So I just need to understand from my technical guys. I've seen Asha somewhere there, my chief finance officer. She has gone into another meeting. Whether there's a procurement law we need to abide by to have you guys available to be procured. The same way we procure the Star newspaper or the Nation or Citizen TV, we can say this is for social media, a budget. And if you put this budget for social media, then you guys can carry our ads on your platforms. But as a sign of goodwill, before we get there, please carry some of them. Weka dish in a county kwanza, tuone. Because we're growing into it. It's a new space. I don't know if any county government has been advertising with you guys or national government. If they have, tell us how they've been doing it. we'd love to do it. But this thing is give and take. I give you this, you give me that, you know, and we move forward together. So please share the videos for Dishi and for how guys can pay taxes. Or even talk about it. Mentions sometimes have more value than an ad that is seen as an ad. You know? If you talk about it, but hey, maze leo, nimechikimsea mefurahi Jojo hii kitu. Hey, maze inawaka. It has bigger impact than advertisers' announcement. People skip. They'll skip so quickly. And I'd rather pay more for that than for this thing. I skip ads like a nonsense. You know? First I mute, then I skip. Then I pay for YouTube Premium. So that I don't have to be on those things, but it doesn't work. You remember I raised that issue the other day in State House. Austin, Mr. Caliph. Yeah? When I was a kid, I used to come to Caliph a lot. Okay, Nanani. Amina Jasho. Is Clemo? I knew Clemo later. I had friends from my school, Aga Khan, who used to live there, used to come for iftar and whatnot. Yo grawa ijakulu desa. Ni sisi tunafanya project. Ni project ya county through a ward development fund. So the MCA has applied with his Hashim. Apply. He's using money from the county to do up the ground. Desa. Mimi nimecheza pia ball desa nikiwa mtoi. We will not charge people. It's not a private enterprise. There can be something small to maintain it when it's a big team. I mean, FC Leopards, if you want to train there, surely, and they take a whole day, we can charge those ones. But Otoyomta must be able to access that ground. So I know the issue of Desa. And thanks for the thoughts on Dishi na County. You know, food, it's a thing that gives people dignity, you know. Kunyima mtoi chakula, ama kupata chakula, kwa njaa, that's the one thing that either gives you or takes away. It's not cool. It's not the way to do it. You know, catcalling, whistling, going to, you know, and we make examples of people who do the wrong thing. I think we'll make a lot of progress with that. But once we realize this Matatu, this Sako has done that, apart from the criminal charges that they'll face, again I repeat, the police are not under us, but we work with them. Apart from the criminal charges they'll face, I will blacklist that Sako. You'll have no license in Nairobi. And so I make them peer review each other to make sure certain standards of professionalism are held within, I mean, our ladies must feel safe. I'm a dad of a daughter. I have sisters, you know. I would hate for them to go through some of the things I've seen. Some of those I've been dealt with personally. I've intervened. I don't want to mention them because of privacy, but I've intervened personally. It is the lowest thing a man can ever do, you know. So we support you. And the more ideas you have about that, please share with us on what we can do. But let's expose these people. Those are animals. You know, we can't play around with that. Those are animals when you do that. Is politics a dirty game? I think it's first of all, when it's a game, it's a problem. Because it's life and death for most people. When politics is wrong, people die. People steal drugs that should have saved a life. People divert money that should have built a hospital. I think it's that it has dirty people. And the problem with society is evil is done when good people keep quiet and refuse to get their hands dirty because it's dirty. You know, we need more good people engaged, active. I've said again, if you're not on the table, you're on the menu. Some kiacha tu wakora wote na wanasimama MCA ama MP ama governor ama nini, then you expect them to govern properly. If someone has been like this throughout their life, you think they'll change when they get power or money? They won't change. And so that's why everywhere I get a chance, I tell people, you know what, join a party. How many of you are members of any party? You remember our party? Good. Join a party. Because you guys, you say you vote normally in the election. But you're not making a choice. What you're finding is a menu selected by other people during nominations in parties. So you come in to choose from a pre-selected menu of sometimes the worst of the worst. So as many people as you can get, join any. I'd love you to join mine. But if you don't believe in its ideals, join another one. Join Azimio, join ODM, join UDA, join, be there. When there's nomination, join Wajakoyas, but don't overdo what it does. But if you're not in it, there's a proper guy. I admire this guy. I admire Ngoma. He's so nice. I wish you win. But if I don't come to vote for your nominations, you will not win it. I'll be left with another 2 people to vote for. It is real. And I think now Nairobians and Kenyans are realizing that actually who you elect can affect your life directly. Every day. Positively or negatively. So it's a whole other discussion of how to get people. Just some countries like Australia, voting is mandatory. You must vote. It's a crime not to vote. In Kenya, the voter turnout, if you look at it in the last election, it was so low. And especially for young people, it was so low that sometimes you question, do we really have the entire mandate of the people? So instead of representation of the people, it becomes representation despite the people. You know? And so that's something I can talk the whole day about. You know, just let's and let me ask you guys. See, mko kama WhatsApp group. Have you seen a WhatsApp group for the estate? Kuna mchango kwa estate ama kwa familia. Wanauliza nani atakuwa treasurer. The standards are so high. Baba kama uzizi. Hii tupatie Mama Shiro. You guys mnachanga 50k. The standards are so high on who is the treasurer or who is the chairman. For 50k mchango. But ya 40 billion ya Nairobi. Because you don't own it. Because you don't think it is yours. It is somebody else's. And that's why I keep saying a campaign like I am Nairobi, when you know it is yours. That someone who you will not even trust with your kiosk to run or to babysit for your child for an hour, you want to trust with your future. We must own our city. We must take it back. Then the standards will go higher. Bonke West, umuliza maswali part 2. First, thank you for being in love with Nairobi. Me, I'm in love with Nairobi, man. I've never been away from this city for 21 days imeshikana. Tangu nizaliwe. Nimeenda kila mahali 10 days narudi. Hata Ocha niko na siku 2 narudi. Hii ndio Ocha yangu, huko ndo home. But we need to move that love to something practical. You guys have platforms. I love what you're doing on yours. I love what many of you guys are doing. Sometimes on top of the other content you create, talk about the city. Let's hype it. Africa's capital. You know, let's create a brand. You guys think about what is a brand? What is it we are selling? We have so much. This is the center of the world. From Dubai, you're in Nairobi in 5 hours. From London, you're here in 8 hours. From New York in 13 hours. The weather. Look, the people. We have what? By the way, unajua vile watu wa Nairobi wajatembea. We enda Naijo. Hata Lami, Lagos, hakuna. The airport ni kama ofisi ya Kamba. They don't even have a national carrier. Our internet is the fastest on the continent. You know, there's so much going for us, but zile mnaongea tu ni I don't know if I should go into it. Mnaongea tu vitu negative. Sometimes get time to talk about, boast about us. Yeah? Enda kwa experience wasema uliza watu wa UG mko na kitu kai. Uliza watu wa TZ. Hii mtaone hapa ama London. You know, like let's brag about who we are. Because many, let me tell you, I know so many diplomats who are my friends. Time yao ikiisha Nairobi, they resign and they stay. They're still here. US ambassadors, UK ambassadors, they love it because they've seen other places. Nyinyi mnangoja tu nikaweza kuomoka, nikavuka boda, mtarudi tu. So we also need to positively show what is working, even as you help us sort out what is not working. Not everything is working. There's issues with the environment. There are places which are still dirty. You know, the guys who used to collect garbage when I was a kid are still the ones there today. That's why I'm hiring 3,500 youth. Zile kamero zilikuwa zamani. Today, and I give an example, Embakasi East. It's a huge constituency from Mihangu, Tawala, mpaka Doni. It has 3 guys who are supposed to clean it. 3. And they are above 55. How do you expect that place to be clean? Alafu pia, since you don't own it, kuna madhe uko Kahawa market ananiuliza. And I was there. She's selling fruits and vegetables. She asked me, mbona hapa nje, hapa amukoti uchafu ni chafu? I'm like, are you out of your mind? Outside your stall. And it is your things. We must move from haki yetu to wajibu wetu. If everyone swept outside their house, the world would be clean. We must also take our responsibility. I'll do my part. We're putting the bins. Ubaya zile tuliweka zilikuwa vandalized, zikaibwa, chuma zinakunywa scrap metal. Now we're using another material, some fiberglass ambayo watu wa scrap watachukua. But once I've shown you, that's where you dump. This is how often we'll collect it. I've bought 27 refuse compactors. I've bought 27 tippers in the last 2 weeks. I'm hiring 3,500 young guys. We're doing waste to energy for the first time in Dandora dump site. Kutengeneza 45 megawatts of electricity. But now if you're driving and you throw out a bottle, how do you blame me? In a few weeks, El Nino is coming. What causes flooding in El Nino? Illegal dumping. Nikanjo in a dump. See me? It's us. So when we're doing that campaign, I'll ask you guys to help us because we've mapped out all the hotspots of the areas that are prone to flooding, the issues there. Unapata mtu ameka container kwa drainage. Anafati mboka ni mboka. When I remove those illegal structures, bado nyinyi mnapiga kelele. Na zikibaki kuflood, bado nyinyi mnapiga kelele. How do we work together to sort that out? You know, just food for thought for you to think about. Yes, parks lazima zikue kila mtaa. Si Uhuru Park peke yake na Jivanji. Ukienda saizi TRM towards Roysambu, hata hiyo base kwa barabara I'm doing that park. We're doing that park. Jacaranda, we're in talks. High Ridge Teachers College are the ones who own that land. And I told them, please hand this back to the county. Isikuwe tu mali ya maandamano. Na mikutano za sijui bunge la mwananchi na siasa. Pia kuwe place ya recreation. Recreation, the built environment gives people dignity. In the US, in either the Bronx or Harlem, what they did a social experiment. They fixed broken windows. They painted the estates. Crime went down by 40%. Yani hata dingo anasema easy place ya kuiba because of just the built environment. And so this is what we are doing. Help us highlight and stop the negative aspects of it. So we want to do parks. First of all, in all the sub-counties. So we're starting with the 5 boroughs. So we create boroughs: Nairobi, North, East, West, South, and Central. Instead of kuja City Hall, unaweza kuwa served hapo. So we'll start with each borough, and then we go down. But from now, we've said in the building code, if you're coming for approvals from us to build apartments or an estate, there must be green spaces. There must be places for our kids to play. Si tulicheza bano, tulicheza shake, tulicheza kati. Siku hizi watu wanacheza tu PS na Xbox. Wananona, obesity, mental health. So we must create those safe spaces, and we're reclaiming grabbed land. This morning I spoke about Mbakasi East, Tasia. As in tuko na hosi ni yetu ilifunguliwa na the former president akianzisha. Hosi iko hapa pale nimekaa, for instance, ndio wards. Kwa ile mti kuna lab. Hapa katikati kuna mtu amegrab amejenga apartments zimefika 7th floor. You know what I've told that person? Thank you for your donation to the county. Those rooms are going to tutafanya finishing. Hizo ni manyumba za manases na clinical officers have fenced the place. Because if you don't deal with that, mambo ni matatu. Yeah. That's the only way you deal with them. Otherwise, if I start getting into negotiation, tuende kotini, itabaki nimelipa mtu amegrab land ya Nairobi. Between the ward and the incinerator, a guy who was a very senior officer of NSSF, because that was a surrender from NSSF, anasema hiyo kiwanja ni yako aje. But when you do these things, you guys don't highlight. Mna highlight tu zile negative. Oh, Sakaja alionekana sijui na dem gani. Sijui Sakaja asijui amedunga nini. You know, let's focus on what will change our country. And you guys are so powerful, you don't know. You have so much power on your phones, on your thumbs, on your platforms, with your voices. Let's try even 2 years too. So for 2 years, let's try this experiment. We'll see how far we can go. So, sporting facilities. James, you also asked about that. James, Kwekataf, kuna MCAs through ward development funds. So what I've done, I've said every ward, 85 wards in Nairobi, I've given them each 23 million shillings. The 23 million shillings, nikanatu mtamze hapa, this is what we'll do. I'd urge you guys to go to Karibangi South, Uru Ward. Uonele tafu imetengenezwa hapo na basketball court na netball. For such a small amount of money. Hao vijana wako busy, it is fun, it is nice. Jericho, the basketball court we opened the other day. It is reducing ills in society. So we're going to do more of those within our estates. It's in our budget, especially in this financial year. See, I said I'll answer everybody's question. Chief, Simani. So the infrastructure to keep fit. You see, a lot of our public infrastructure was grabbed a long time. That's why I'm fighting a big fight. And I'm fighting it, and sometimes I'm alone, because I'm being fought. Unajua ile unafukuza mwizi afu anapinduka sema wewe ndio pickpocket. But I said, you know me, you can't rattle me on such things. First of all, unajua me, I was a premature baby. I'm not even supposed to be here. So I'm on borrowed time. Mimi nilizaliwa nikako incubator for months. So mimi sitishwangwi na hivi vitu ndogo ndogo. If I've said this is the way we're going, this is the way we are going. And so I'm reclaiming those spaces. Let's have jogging tracks. Let's have cycle tracks. You know, let's tell people. The other day when there was UN Habitat, you know, I was supposed to cycle with the First Lady to Karura. I refused because I was embarrassed. Because we were cycling in the middle of the road. We should not be cycling in the middle of the road. We should be cycling on a cycle path. But if guys have built up until the road, nikiamua nizigonge, mnaona mwanasea akisema, oh, unapiga jamii yetu, unapiga hii kabila, unapiga nini, me I will do what is right. But I need backup from Nairobians. You know, we must think of Nairobi in 20, 30, 40 years. Vision 2050. If we don't sort it now, it will never be sorted. And that's why this conversation is extremely important for me. So lighting, we've done a lot of lighting. If you go to Ngong Road, we've lit all of it. Mita Mingi. I mean, we've not covered everywhere, but we've actually done a huge number. Right now we're doing from the junction all the way to Wayakwe, Kingara Road coming down, up James Kishuru, places in Kileleshwa, Lavington. If you go to Eastlands Hospital Ward, there's a lot of lighting being redone. But what's the challenge with lighting? Zinagondiwa. Juzi nimepata wezi wameiba our infrastructure next to Kawangware. The good thing, walishikwa na mavijana wa hapo. Right? Till now they're in Mudangari police station. This Nairobi, I didn't say let Sakaja make Nairobi work. I said let's make Nairobi work. There's so much I can do. I can align budgets. I can get policy done. But Nairobians, until we own our city, it will never work. Until we all take it collectively. And I hope with your voices, you can be able to speak about that. Again, security, you know, in as much as it's a national function, we've teamed up with the Inspector General and with the regional commander. You remember when we just got into office, kulikuwa na case mingi za abductions, watu wanapigwa Nyongolo, Ngeta, Nini, they went down because of the kind of patrols we're doing. But many times these people are hidden by the citizens. And so we have restarted the project with Safaricom. Remember they had put cameras. Ambazo now we realize cameras imejengwa, but the control room for observing the cameras, no one even goes in there. The traffic lights, no one even goes to control them. So now is when we've taken them over We're using the monitoring. The other day, I highlighted the Ngong Road incident where some people were mugged, and we caught them. Instead of guys saying, hey, well done, ni Juni Wazungu. See Juni Wazungu, it was brought to my attention. The others we have also been able to arrest, and will continue doing that. Alexia, thank you so much for your very kind words, and thank you for being here. As Ilantoya said, and Justin as well, many opportunities for collaboration with the county. That's why for the first time we're the only government with a minister for public participation. Because our biggest asset is our people. We have 7 million people. I'm the governor. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a doctor. And no one can be all those things. The ideas that you guys have that I don't have. So it's just bringing it together, giving you the platform to collaborate. Thank you for coming to Uhuru Park. We're actually concluding. In fact, the handover should be done before mid-September from the military. Right now, what had been left was 2 things. The sewer connection from the ablution blocks. We needed to cut across Kenyatta Avenue, and Ken had refused. But now that there's a contractor doing that part of Kenyatta Avenue, we've already been allowed to cut across. We've put the sewer lines along the road. There's what used to be called the malaria drain, which is being concluded. And so in the next 2 or so weeks, we'll be able to finish that. We're putting a people management system. They wanted us to charge guys to come to Uhuru Park. I said, we can't charge guys to come to Uhuru Park. We can agree to charge for Central Park because we need to maintain. But for Uhuru Park, where ilikuwa ukitama kitao na umekosa job, at least lunchtime you just come and lie on the grass ukifikiria shida zako. Uhuru Park has such a great legacy and heritage, it will remain free. But to discourage guys who are coming for the wrong reason, to mug people or to cause disturbance or to do politics, we'll have a people management system. At the gates, you leave your ID, you leave some form of identification. We're putting a police post across, first of all, at Central Park and also this side of Uhuru Park. So we make sure there is top security. We're getting proper management to work with our teams. The guys who've done Hyde Park in London, the guys who've done Central Park in the US. We're creating a serious management team and a governance structure of the Nairobi Parks Commission. So at lazima work. And thanks for saying we're doing a good job. The Uber guys who are being harassed, they've been harassed for a long time. And we sat with them. There's a DTAC forum. I've taken Uber guys from 2015. First of all, they are paid peanuts because there's a race to the bottom. So Uber reduces the price, Bolt goes lower. Bolt goes lower, little cab or taxify, whatever goes lower. We've agreed. We put in regulations when I was in Senate. I sponsored those regulations. Do you know 80% of the accidents in Kenya are Uber drivers and taxify and the digital drivers because of the little money we pay them, they have to drive for 20 hours in a day. Or 20, they are fatigued. So we're getting a balance between the consumer not having to pay too much, but also the driver making something. So with the pricing formula that has fuel, wear and tear, maintenance, etc., if fuel goes up, the price goes up automatically. So it's not a subjective decision that tao ni atano lakini uko na how much. That there's actually an algorithm. It's happened across the world. I looked at the case in London where now they even regarded as employees. Madere. In New York, there's actually a charge. Once you get into it, there's a percentage that goes to the city because they're using the city infrastructure. So all those Uber drivers and whatnot, they should know. We did our part. I put the regulations. The minister has gazetted. We are working with AA Kenya and Competition Authority to set that up. But also now for town, the problem is they drop you off at the wrong places and you get them at the wrong places because you don't know where to get them from. So we've agreed with Cezanne of Uber, with the Bolt guys, with the Nigerian guys and all those people. We've designated pick-up and drop-off points. We'll publish them. And on top of publish them, on your app, if you're on Kenyatta, if you're in Muindi Bingu and you ask for an Uber, it'll tell you, go pick your Uber at INM. And at that INM, no one will harass them. They're allowed to pick up and drop, but not to park. Ni kuchukua na kuenda. Kudrop na kuenda. So they're not harassed. Or they're hustling. And that is why they're there. So, and my Kanjo guys know. And by the way, encourage guys. Do you know, we're talking about surveillance cameras. If you see a guy doing a traffic offense, it's a traffic offense. someone harassing someone, it'll take the offense. Do you know the biggest surveillance we have is Nairobians with your phones. So we're trying to add an additional thing on my Nairobi app. If you see an offense as a Nairobian, you capture it with your phone. The Finance Act that is being discussed right now by the MCAs, imeweka kitu inaitwa split the fine. Ukipata mtu amefanya makosa na hiyo fine ni 5,000 na wewe ndio umerecord na imekuja kwa app yetu, 2,500 ni yako, 2,500 ni yangu. Split the fine. So from now on, it's not snitches get stitches, it's snitches get riches. Yes. So I'm just waiting for the MCAs to pass that. I tried it the other time, I tried it informally. Nikasema illegal dumping if you catch anyone doing it. Kuna madhe huko Ruai market, akapata one of the supermarket, these big names. I will not say the name quickly, but it's a market. Wakashikwa, wakidump, hapo nje.
The Dish in a County initiative is set to change lives, promote nutrition, and will keep students in school.
Our children are missing a third of their education. Their parents are stressed. Chumi ni ngumu. Hiyo stress ya kufikiria mtoto atakula nini nimeitoa sasa kwa wazazi. From the 28th,
instead of me waiting for a traffic camera to capture that offense, which is 3,000 bob, uko na 1,500, na mimi nitamcharge ni 1,500. So we're working on the legislative framework to support that. Sio ni kucreate employment. Hata Mbacha alijirecord ati done. Akatupa ngambia we nimekupata. But sikumcharge. But I had to use him to help us record Dish in a County. That's the charge. Now he has a dustbin in his balcony. As I go to finish, because there are only 2 or 3 more. Hey, Eddie Butita muuliza maswali mingi. But what I like about Eddie, Butita, ni ma solutions. Ile siku ulikuwa status mazee hata mdosi alibambika. Ulikuwa unasema kitu, then you say how it can be done. Social holes we are reclaiming. Mingi ambazo zimekulwa. Yeah. We need to revive them, but we need more. When you're growing up, the population of Nairobi was very low compared to now. Now we're about 7 million people, man. And so we need to build more. And that's why we're putting in the building code. If you build a structure of this capacity, apartments of this capacity, you must create that social infrastructure. Nairobi, when I was vying for senator, I am Nairobi. Then someone asks you, so what does it mean to be a Nairobian? No, this is how we roll. This is how we deal. This is how our nightlife is. This is how our social structure is. This is how we treat each other. We are courteous on the road. Even though it is not true, the more we say it, the more people will start doing it. It is showbiz. You create it. In the US, after the Great Depression, the president sat with them and told them, he called Hollywood and said, guys, let's create something. They created Captain America. They created Uncle Sam. They created the Free Home of the Brave. Their movies are showing, if you touch an American anywhere in the world, we'll get you. It gave them national pride. US wana export nini? Wanakulia tu hewa ya kutusho sisi ndio sisi. At the NBA, I saw one of these players saying, what do you mean? One of the champions of the world. These are the world. It's just the US. But they make it look like it's the world. Let's do the same. And it's you guys who can do it. And you're the ones who can help us brand the city. And to create that niche. The tourism that can come to Nairobi. The only capital with a national park with animals in their unspoiled habitat where their grandparents were. And in the background, you're seeing the skyline of the city. And it's a country where the earliest fossil was found of humankind. That you can tell someone from China, welcome home. But we're targeting 2 million visitors. I was in Turkey. The guy in charge of tourism there told me, he's the honorary consular for Kenya. I said, me, I was asked to come here. He used to be an engineer at Boeing. In the 80s, he was called. He told the president, if you allow me to do what needs to be done. He's called Dr. Ali Bozatli. They looked at the tourism circuit and they said, okay, hapa tutafanya hoteli aina hii, hapa ya aina hii. Leo kenda Mombasa, hoteli zote zinafanana, White Sands, Serena, nini. We are not taking advantage. Kenya is the country with the highest species of butterflies in the world and birds. Do you know that? People don't know that. There's so much about this country that we've not been able to sell. There's a smart fact the Chinese guy told us yesterday. I'll get it. We didn't even know. Do you know when KICC was built, There was no building in China taller than it. Do you know that? We're commemorating 50 years of KICC on September the 11th this year. Which is spooky, because September 11th is when... But anyway, we're commemorating 50 years of KICC. But when KICC was built, the highest building in China was not even close to KICC. Look what happened because of leadership. You know, just get the right person. Society rises and falls with leadership. Uhuru Park shooting charges, that's a brilliant idea. Watu walipe, but we'll do a free day. So please, Susan, make sure, tell Kerich or David, Finance Committee, waongeze hiyo kitu. A free day kuja upige na tekno yako, na simu yako, na nini, kuja upige ushoot for free with your equipment. I think that's a very good idea, and thank you. Mpigeni makofi, hiyo ni fiti. Then I think the last thing was really, how do we share information?